Welcome to Tippet Rise in Montana. We are in southwestern Montana, just outside of a little town called Fishtail, about 45 minutes from Red Lodge. What we are looking at is a sculpture by Wendy Red Star. It is called The Soil You See, piece from 2023. Glass mounted to a rock pedestal, and it is a fingerprint. It is Wendy Red Star's fingerprint, and within the fingerprint are the names of 50 Absáalooke leaders, chiefs, representatives, delegates who went to Washington, D.C. during colonization and signed treaties and land giveaways with the U.S. government by signing either an X or placing their fingerprint on the document. So that's where this piece comes full circle. Wendy Red Star is Absáalooke. She was born on the Absáalooke reservation, grew up there, and that is to the east of Tippet Rise. Over this hill on a clear day, you could see the Pryor Mountains. And at the northern end of the Pryor Mountains, an incredibly sacred place for the Absáalooke, who you may know as the Crow Indians. Their present-day reservation is in that direction. About 3 million acres to the east of Tippet Rise by the Pryor Mountains. Now, at one time, of course, the Crow lived on this entire landscape. The Crow, prior to European contact, were a buffalo tribe, migratory, following the buffalo herds here on the northern edge of the Great Plains, I guess you'd call this. This is also the greater Yellowstone landscape ecosystem. There in the distance, those big mountains, that is the Beartooth Range and the Absáalooke Beartooth Wilderness, a national wilderness area. Massive, hundreds of thousands of acres. That is real wilderness. That's grizzly, that's wolf, that's cougar, wolverine. And just on the far side of that, we're now looking south. Just on the far, that mountain range is about 30 miles from here, and on the other side is Yellowstone National Park. This entire area at one point would have been the homeland of the Absáalooke, the Crow, from which Wendy Red Star is descended. And again, this piece is referencing the U.S. government's seizures of land from the Crow in this area by having those delegates sign with either their fingerprint or an X on the document. One that sings bad, X mark. Shot in the jaw, his X mark. I'm reading some of the names of the tribal representatives. Pretty Eagle, his X mark. Pretty Bull, his X mark. Big Belly, his X mark. Bull Nose. There is some text from Red Star at the top. The soil you see is not ordinary soil. This is the dust of the blood, the flesh and bones of our ancestors. We fought and bled and died to keep other Indians from taking it, and we fought and bled and died helping the whites. You will have to dig down through the surface before you can find nature's earth, as the upper portion is Crow. A powerful statement here by Wendy Red Star, and Tippet Rise is an extraordinary place. 12,500 acres, working cattle ranch. This is not wilderness. It is undeveloped, but it is not wilderness. There is barbed wire and cattle all over here. Black bear, elk, mule deer, jackrabbits, you'll see that kind of stuff, but bison, cougar, wolf, grizzly, they don't come in there. Down in the middle of this shot, there's a small, dark, what looks like a tree. That is actually a sculpture by Ai Weiwei, the super famous Chinese artist, one of the most famous contemporary artists in the world. This here is the main buildings for Tippet Rise, and there in the distance, if you can see the black sculpture, let me zoom in on that a little bit. That will look familiar to art lovers as an Alexander Calder stabile. Calder's hanging sculptures are called mobiles. The ground-based sculptures are called stabiles. And this is a powerful statement about Wendy Red Star and native art and native representation, because Wendy Red Star's piece is 200 yards from one by Ai Weiwei and 200 yards from another by Alexander Calder, arguably the most prominent contemporary sculptor and most prominent modern sculptor. And that says Native American art belongs with the best of the best artwork, not siloed as ethnographic or something else. Across the grounds here at Tippet Rise are massive sculptures, one's much larger than Wendy's, more on the scale of the Calder piece, 60 feet high, weighing many tons. And that's sort of the gist of Tippet Rise. I'm here in late August of 2024, and Tippet Rise has a summer music schedule where not only in the covered areas and their purpose-built music halls, but across the grounds and even with the sculptures, classical music performances are put on. This location was chosen by a couple who wanted to bring fine art, architecture, classical music into the outdoors. Kathy and Peter Halstead are their names, and Tippet Rise was developed in the 20-teens to display world-class architecture and sculpture with classical music in a natural setting. It's hard to get here, admittedly. Fly into Billings and it's an hour drive. Fly into Bozeman and it's about a 2.5-hour drive. But hiking and biking here are free. You do have to reserve a spot and sign up. But hiking and biking here are free, and they've got I think 15 miles of hiking and biking trails, and van tours of the property and the sculpture are $10, and the concert tickets are only $10. Incredibly limited. You need to sign up months in advance, and they are hard to get. But if you are able to get one, It is a setting unlike any other and incredibly reasonable. They only run a summer schedule, mid-June through late September. Obviously, once you start getting into October, it gets cold and windy with the possibility of snow here. The concert schedule runs mid-June, or actually July through August, give or take. But the hiking and biking and ability to tour the grounds, take the van trips, is most of the summer, essentially. And I would highly recommend, if you are in the area, it's a day trip from Yellowstone National Park. Again, the park is just on the other side of those mountains, so it's only 30 miles as the crow flies, but by car it would be about 2.5 hours to get to the eastern side of the park. But if you are into big art and big nature and Native American culture and the Absáalooke, and you find yourself in southwestern Montana, do yourself a favor and come to Tippet Rise and book a reservation as soon as you think you might be here, because they fill up quickly. And sculptures like Wendy Red Stars and Ai Weiwei's and Alexander Calder, and they've got Richard Serra, and they've got Louise Nevelson, are a big reason why.